By the early 1980s, Michael Jackson had achieved something few artists ever accomplished. Off the Wall had transformed him from a former child star into a respected solo artist, and for the first time in his life, he had genuine control over his future. But while the world saw confidence and success, Michael was still carrying the same fear that had followed him since childhood. The difference was that now he had something he never had before: power. And with that power came a difficult decision. For years, Joseph Jackson had been the dominant force behind the family's career. He had built the Jackson 5, pushed his children toward success, and controlled nearly every major decision. But Michael was no longer a child. He was becoming one of the biggest entertainers in the world, and he wanted to make his own choices. The problem was that standing up to Joseph Jackson wasn't easy. According to people close to Michael, the fear he felt toward his father never truly disappeared. Some reports claimed that simply being around Joseph could make Michael physically ill. Imagine becoming one of the most famous people on earth and still feeling like a frightened little boy whenever your father entered the room. As Michael's success continued to grow, tensions between father and son became impossible to ignore. Joseph still wanted influence over Michael's career, but Michael increasingly relied on advisors, managers, and business professionals outside the family. The more independent Michael became, the more conflict followed. For Joseph, it may have felt like losing control over the son whose talent had helped build the family's success. For Michael, it felt like finally gaining control over a life that had never truly belonged to him. Eventually, the relationship reached a breaking point. Michael decided to remove Joseph from his role as manager. What makes this moment so remarkable is that Michael reportedly struggled to do it directly. Despite all his fame, wealth, and success, confronting his father remained one of the hardest things he had ever done. It was a powerful reminder that childhood fears don't simply disappear because someone becomes successful. Sometimes they remain hidden beneath the surface, shaping decisions for decades. Then came Thriller. Released in 1982, it became more than an album. It became a cultural phenomenon. Song after song dominated the charts. Music videos became events. Audiences around the world couldn't get enough of Michael Jackson. Suddenly, he wasn't just a superstar. He was becoming something larger than life. As Thriller shattered records, Michael's fame reached a level that few people in history have ever experienced. Yet behind the success, the personal struggles remained. The public saw a man at the peak of his powers. What they didn't see was someone still carrying emotional scars from childhood. The pressure to remain perfect became overwhelming. Every performance had to be bigger. Every album had to be better. Every appearance had to exceed expectations. Success had given Michael freedom, but it had also created a new kind of prison. In 1984, another event would leave a lasting mark on Michael's life. While filming a Pepsi commercial, a pyrotechnic accident caused his hair to catch fire. The footage shocked the world. Michael suffered burns to his scalp and underwent medical treatment. Many historians and biographers consider this moment a major turning point. Not only was the injury physically painful, but it introduced Michael to prescription pain medication during a period of extreme stress. At the same time, the demands of fame continued growing. Instead of slowing down, Michael pushed forward. He rarely allowed himself the luxury of vulnerability. He had spent his entire life learning to perform through pain, both emotional and physical. Around the same period, Joseph Jackson became heavily involved in organizing what would become the Victory Tour. The tour reunited Michael with his brothers and promised to be one of the biggest events in music. But behind the scenes, tensions were brewing. Michael reportedly had reservations about participating. He had already established himself as a solo superstar, and many of his priorities had changed. Yet family expectations remained difficult to escape. The tour was successful, but it also highlighted how far Michael's ambitions had diverged from those around him. He was increasingly focused on humanitarian work, personal growth, and artistic goals rather than simply expanding the family business. Then something unexpected happened. According to stories from the period, Michael received a letter from a young fan. The message deeply affected him. It reminded him that his success wasn't just about record sales or concerts. It was about people. Around this time, Michael became increasingly committed to charitable causes. Rather than keeping every dollar he earned from the victory tour, he chose to donate his profits to charity. For Michael, this decision wasn't about publicity. It reflected a growing belief that fame should be used to help others. In some ways, it may have been connected to his own childhood experiences. Having spent so many years feeling powerless, he wanted to use his influence to make life better for those who were struggling. As the years passed, Michael continued creating distance between himself and Joseph. He built his own world, surrounded himself with trusted advisors, and established boundaries that had never existed before. Yet complete separation proved difficult. Family relationships are rarely simple, especially when decades of history are involved. The wounds from childhood don't vanish simply because someone chooses independence. They often remain hidden, resurfacing in unexpected ways. Even as Michael purchased Neverland Ranch and attempted to create a place of comfort and escape, many observers noted that he seemed to be searching for something he had missed during childhood. Neverland wasn't just a home. It was an attempt to build the carefree world he never had growing up. One of the clearest indications of how deeply the relationship had deteriorated came after Michael's death. When details of his estate became public, many people were surprised to learn that Joseph Jackson had been excluded from Michael's will. For some, it was shocking. For others, it seemed like the final chapter in a complicated relationship that had never fully healed. The decision wasn't simply about money. It symbolized decades of emotional distance, unresolved pain, and experiences that had shaped Michael's life from the very beginning. Even in death, the separation remained. When Michael Jackson died in 2009, the world mourned the loss of a musical icon. Fans remembered the moonwalk, the music videos, the sold-out stadiums, and the records that may never be broken. But behind all of those achievements was a far more human story. It was the story of a child pushed toward greatness, a young man searching for independence, and an adult still trying to understand the relationship that shaped him more than any other. The world remembers Michael Jackson as the king of pop. But behind the records, the moonwalk, and the fame, there was still a little boy searching for something he never received from the person who mattered most. Not money, not success, not applause, just a father's love. And perhaps that's what makes Michael Jackson's story so tragic. He achieved almost everything a person could dream of. He became one of the most famous entertainers in history. He broke records, inspired generations, and built a legacy that continues long after his death. Yet some of the deepest wounds in his life were never healed. Because no amount of success can rewrite a childhood. No amount of fame can replace the love and security a child needs. And for Michael, those unanswered questions seem to follow him throughout his entire life. The world remembers Michael Jackson as the king of pop. But behind the records, the moonwalk, and the fame, there was still a little boy searching for something he never received from the person who mattered most. Not money, not success, not applause, just a father's love.